Let's break down how to write emails so good your audience can't ignore them, because we need to have a talk. It's 2025 and your competitors out there with AI drafting copy that's so good it lands in your prospects' inbox and they have a little moment, maybe even tear up because they feel so heard, seen, and understood. And you're just proud of yourself when you remember to fix the name merge field in your email and ramp up that personalization. Woof, it might be time to step it up. Consider this your guide to irresistible writing for the inbox. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about strategies, examples, psychology tricks, and a proven structure that get your emails opened, read, and more importantly, drive real results. Because newsflash, your email list is your buyer list. Let's turn those subscribers into super fans. Feel free to jump around with the timestamps on this video if it helps. I'm Ashlyn Carter. I'm a conversion copywriter by trade turned entrepreneur and agency owner. On this channel, we explore strategies and tools to help creative entrepreneurs like you scale smarter so you can work from a place of more rest, less hustle. All right, first up, the stakes have changed. So here's my paging Nostradamus moment. About this time last year, I ran some articles and I talked about how Google and Yahoo and other email service providers are making some changes. They made them. So welcome to the jungle. It happened. And this is why you can't approach email marketing and email copywriting even like you did in 2020 or even 2023. So here's the sitch. Email providers are cracking down hard on your unengaged subscribers. Email providers are now penalizing unengaged subscribers by automatically marking those emails as spam. They're like, don't even give us people that don't want to hear from you. We're going to send it straight to spam. Even if the message is fine, it doesn't have any spam words in it, we'll put it in there if it looks like this user doesn't want what you got. That is the new paradigm. You've seen it. You know how you've logged into Gmail and sometimes up at the top you'll see, hey, you haven't opened emails from Tucker Duck for a while. Do you want to unsubscribe? They told us this was coming and we saw it ramp up a lot during Q4 of 2024 holiday campaigns. A lot of companies and brands were talking about that they saw this happen. And the competition for inbox attention is real. The Radicati Group is predicting that we're sending around 376.4 billion with a B emails a day. But there's hope because 88% of people we know are checking their email every day, and 40% of people are actively hunting for offers and discounts. I just talked about a lot of stuff has changed. What has not changed is the people that want to hear from you want to hear from you. It's your job to just serve up those emails that are so good they can't ignore them. All right, let's get into how to do this. 5 things. Step 1, remember that engagement is everything. You know this, right? If people are not opening, clicking, engaging with your emails, that deliverability is gonna tank. And also what we just talked about, these email service providers are gonna say they're not even interested. So fixing this starts with, the way I see it, starts with about 3 things. Number 1, I want you to freak out about your write back rate. So this is a term I first learned from writer Ann Handley, and I love it. I'll talk a little bit more about it when I cover high quality content in a minute, because you don't need to be writing emails that sound like AI had a baby with a corporate handbook. But you can automatically tell these email service providers that the person wants to hear from you if you're regularly having a banter back and forth with your people. If they're replying, you're replying to them. So start thinking strategically for your year's email campaigns. How can you regularly put messages in there where people are going to write back? We dropped a campaign recently to 57,000 people and got, at time of recording this video, it was over 150 responses back. So I was like, that is a great write back rate. I did it strategically. I put this copy inside of the email because I knew I wanted to have a moment where people wrote back. Do this at least once a month with your emails so you're regularly having people reply. You want this to happen organically too. So you want to be serving up content where people are writing back and telling you what they think about the email. Number 2, you want to build your email ecosystem and strategy so much that you're making subject lines obsolete. So you've built a brand or a shtick where people just want to hear from you. They see your name in their inbox, your company's name, and they skip down and they want to open that one. It doesn't even matter to them what the subject line was. They were going to open it anyway. That is a fairly new concept for me. I have been writing emails since corporate days back in 13 and 14. And that is a new concept for me to, yes, worry about your subject line, but essentially make your subject line obsolete because they just want to open the email from you. And number 3, tight segmentation has to happen. Here's another thing. I have not always prioritized this. I'm going to be doing it a lot more. So absolutely, you can drop emails to your whole list. In my business, we call it the house list. But start considering how you can drop emails to specific segments. So maybe you take your newsletter and you duplicate it or make 3 versions of it and you tailor it for different segments. People that have told you certain things, maybe buyers and non-buyers, or people that have told you what level they're at. Let me give you another example of this. I have an email template subscription called Copy Bank Club, and in the latest drop, I told them to take the email template that I gave them. I said, send this out to everybody who has recently signed up for a specific freebie that you have. Send this template, this campaign just fires to them, and then you're going to take this template and put it in the automations between your freebie delivery and your pitch. So you're going to, in your freebie funnel, you're going to have that first email fire with delivery, and then I want you to send this email. If you're not sure where to start, here's some other ideas about segmentation. Drop bonus or extra emails, drop tailored versions of campaigns, or drop the email first to, say, people that have clicked in the last 60 days. People who always open your emails. Or here's a favorite, people who are almost buying but not quite pulling the trigger. Give those groups some TLC, try to pull them back into your email all-star list. And by the way, if it would help you for me to do a video where I dive a little bit more into list cleaning and my thoughts on cold subscribers and all that, comment down below. So you're gonna remember that engagement is everything. Step 2, I want you to also obsess over subject lines. And I realize I just told you, make your subject lines obsolete. That's the kind of mindset I want you to have. I want you to go in thinking, I'm gonna write an email so good, they're just freaking pumped to hear from me, but you're also going to spend time on the subject line. A good subject line is a little bit like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. There are objective rules, but it's still pretty subjective based on your audience, your niche, your voice, etc. I think about how the skim used to always, at least back in the day, the preview line copy was literally always the most random thing possible, but it worked for their audience. I actually one time ran Lizzie McGuire, you were an outfit repeater as a subject line, I think, not even preview copy, subject line, and it did so great. It was completely random. That probably won't work for every audience. So subject lines, not one size fit all, but here's 3 go-to styles to use. First up, curiosity driven or open loop. Here's some examples of what I mean when I say open loop. The important thing, if you're gonna give an open loop subject line, you better make sure you close the loop inside of the email. Even if you open another loop in the email and you're driving to the click from that, but whatever you start talking about in that subject line, answer it in the email or else you're gonna tick some people off. You can go with a value-packed subject line. Here's a few examples of what that could look like for you to snag. And time sensitive. These are always gonna do great. Almost every campaign I send out, I always run an A/B split test. Let me flip the camera around and show you how to do that inside Kit. Kit, formerly ConvertKit, is my hands down favorite tool for building your email list. So here's how to split test. Here we are in Kit. So this is a campaign that dropped to like 57 or 58,000 people. And so, by the way, here's an example. I talked about imagery, like lo-fi, user-generated imagery, and then some pretty imagery in here too. Okay, so what I'm gonna do to split test it is click this little lab beaker and I'll split test my subject lines here. So I'll add in, let's just say like I wanted to test the title of it. Looks good enough. I sometimes like to test a really long subject line versus a really short one. Those tend to like skip the middle ground of the, like if you go look at your inbox and you'll see how your eye is drawn to either really long ones or usually short ones. But let's say I wanted to split test that versus like this revenue by Pioneer. That. So just 2 different topics. I'll hit click save and it will start testing. Over here on settings, you can set how long you want it to run. I typically keep it at 240 minutes. Then what it's going to do is Kit will send out 15% get this, 15% of your list get this, and whichever wins, they'll send it to the remaining 70% of your list. And that's how it works. I'm going to give you one more tool for your toolkit when it comes to writing subject lines. You can actually get some really good results from ChatGPT, at least to get your brain thinking in a new and different direction. Just make sure, as with all AI copywriting, you've got to give it good inputs. You've got to engineer it the right way. That's where a lot of the thinking comes in, the copy thinking. So here is a prompt that I have used to get some results that I can then tweak and adjust and really actually start thinking about, and then I'll split test like the 2 most disparate options. So that's one last tip I'll give you when you are going to split test. Understand what you're testing for. 2 different concepts, or you're trying to test Does an emoji work or does it not work? Have a very clear thing you're trying to understand. Number 3, deliver a sky-high quality content. All right, your content inside the email itself has to sparkle. Get your hands dirty, tell stories, show imagery, be real when you talk. Just like we've seen with social media, you know how there's this huge shift from these squares that were, all looked so polished and pristine, and then now it's just kind of like whatever, anything goes. That is very similar to what's happening in an email. Email marketing campaigns with relatable, real stories, talking, imagery, those typically are performing better. So see how you can add either some user-generated content or your own imagery. Here's some examples about how I've done this. Your subscribers see beautifully, perfectly filtered emails all day long, and sometimes they like that. There's a reason over the moon emails, they look like this. I love them in my inbox. They're gorgeous. But I also pulled a few examples of some of theirs that feel a little more authentic. So you want to be thinking about this with the imagery you're using in the content of your email, but absolutely with the copy as well. The State of Email Trends reported that about 34% of email marketers are using AI to write the copy. And I love it. I use AI all the time. You'll know that. But it is always going to be missing the human element, missing the story factor, missing the stamp of you. All right, how can you pull in stories? So I gave a post on Instagram one time where I talked through how you can take a story in your life if you feel like your life is boring and nothing can happen, but I have a couple of other ideas for you. One thing that I told my members inside the Copy Bar Collective, our membership recently, was just go back to what I've talked about for a long time, copy banking. So this idea that when you are out there existing in the world and consuming content and reading, if you see something that you think is funny or you like, makes you giggle, makes you think, pocket it, put it in a copy bank, because this is how you can start to refine your voice. Your style of wit might match with mine, it might not. I thought it might be fun to real life do that. So I'm going to show you how I would copy bank real quick. I just hopped on Instagram. I'm on the Betches account, older millennial here. It's pretty much dialed into me as a target audience member. So I'm going to open up a few of these and see like where the less famous is. Okay, look right here. All the perks without the drama. Like that's a phrase. I could use that phrase in somewhere. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit. Girlhood is a spectrum. What if I did like sales pages are a spectrum, or launch success is a spectrum. Writing is a spectrum. Like I could use that for totally different, like steal like an artist. That's what I mean when I talk about copy banking. Let's do one more. All about wavy line balance. That could be funny too. Do you see what I mean? You can pull from different phrases out there and use them and fold them into your copy in a way that will just liven it up, sound real. I've talked for a while in some videos about how you need to speak internet, just talk like a human, talk like you do in your group chat. Okay, another tip, master the segue. So if you can get to where you tell a story or an anecdote, something that happened in your life, segue and go straight into the pitch. I'm going to talk about this more later in the video. That is fantastic. A segue, not the zoomy around kind, but a segue would be an example like, which brings me back to you, Susie. That kind of thing. It's kind of like your email marketing. So you tell a story, it's kind of like your email marketing, and then I go into email marketing. That's what I mean, the segue. Get good at that, flex that muscle, flex it often. And lastly, if you've got any kind of newness going on in your business, always talk about it. That is a natural hook. Whether you're building something new, you're launching something new happens in your life, that is it's low-hanging fruit. That's such a corporate-y jargon word. But if you have something new going on, talk about it in your emails. All right, one more tip I have for you when we're talking about serving up high quality content is engagement in your emails. So these are things that we saw become more popular within the past year. Things like polls, quizzes, GIFs, interactive elements, games inside the body copy of the email. I pulled a batch of some examples so you can kind of get what I mean when I say this. It's another reason why I love Kit, because I used to have to HTML code these, and you can guess how that went, but Kit has made it easy now with an interactive poll kind of widget that's already built in, and you can add them to your newsletter campaigns. Love it, here for it. All right, number 4, let's talk about driving click-through like a pro. All right, you crafted the email. We talked about obsessing over that subject line because what the heck use even is all of that quality content if people aren't opening it. So now let's get them to actually click the thing you want them to. You always want to add strong psychological factors around these, things like FOMO, scarcity, and urgency. For example, click here to grab your one spot before it's gone. Click here, limited time offer, limited time collection. See the one product everybody is obsessed with. Beyond just the copy of the CTA itself, placement matters. I take a trifecta approach. I think I tested this for a long time, and now it's just become a natural way that I write copy in emails, but I will try to fold a CTA link, like especially on a sales campaign, 3 times. I'll try to do one above the fold, and I'll either link some related phrase that has to do with the win they get when they click. I'll typically hyperlink, of course, the name of the product itself or the name of the offer, the name of the video, and I'll have that. And then I'll also typically always create a button too. So something that looks clicky. That's a psychological tool you'll want to use for sure. A 4th may be any kind of imagery that's in there, linking that too. But yeah, I rarely send out an email that only has like one hyperlink in it. If the purpose of the campaign is one specific link, so say it is an email driving to a webinar or a sales page or a product, I will have multiple times in the email where I am hyperlinking that product. Okay, number 5, use a proven structure. I'm going to tell you about the structure I use for like 90% of my emails. And this works too if you take a newsletter approach. So in my business, I send out one email a week that is very much more newsletter-ish style. So we have multiple sections and it's more digesty. Someone told me one time it's like the skim for creatives. So I have a lot going on in there, but I also send an email that's more like a campaign every week. And this would be how I write those, or any kind of, like I was just talking about, an offer, a pitch, that kind of thing. So I'm going to go with this structure. It's SSP, story, segue, pitch. You start with some kind of question or bold statement, a hook, and I say make it a chicken nugget. So follow the chicken nugget principle. You don't want that first email wall text. You don't want that first bit of copy that hits them to be like a novel, War and Peace chunk that they've got to wade through. No one wants to read that. Throw them a bone, throw them a chicken nugget, give them a little appetizer, a short little line or a phrase that grabs them and that pushes them down to read the next line. In copywriting, that is a tried and true axiom. Each line's goal is to push you to read the next one and the next one and the next one. So if you're starting out with this big chunk of text that nobody can read, it's not going to push them down. We know people are skimming anyway, so just give them a short little line that they can digest, get that dopamine hit, and keep moving on. This is when you tell your quick story, give your anecdote, give the gist, and then quickly switch over with the segue. I'll throw up a bunch of segues right here on the side. This is when you smoothly go right into your pitch. That's the P. That's the gist of the email, why you sent it, the crystal clear call to action. Nothing vague like check this out. You want to say, click right here to go ahead and get started. This SSP section also works if you're going to do newsletter style, like I talked about. So you'll have one section maybe where you focus on this, and you can do SSP. You can accordion it out to be, 400 words. You can scrunch it really tight to make it 150 words. That's why it's a good framework and structure to hang on to. All right, there is your toolkit to write emails so good that people can't ignore them. We talked about obsessing over your write back rate and the engagement factor, testing subject lines, using story, using that non-perfect imagery, just like what is popping off on social media right now. And you're gonna fold that CTA in multiple times. If you're ready for some practice time, be sure to join CopyBank Club. For just $20, you're gonna be able to see exactly what I talked about in action. I'm gonna give you one email template every single month, 3 hooks, and an AI prompt you can use to write and turn out business tasks even faster. You can even try 2 weeks totally free. Look down below, go to copybank.club, or just click this QR code and you can head right there. If you wanna dig a little bit more into writing email copy, be sure to watch this playlist I've got teed up for you. It gives and serves up some of my best tips. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.